We're going to look at pruning hydrangeas, and it's one area that can be a bit confusing, and so hopefully we can clarify some of those points for you today. So maybe your hydrangea went through the winter like this one. I love leaving on the flower heads for the winter. I know by spring they're looking a little rough, but it's another way of just adding another season into your garden. So anything that still has attractive seed pods, old dried flower heads on, there's nothing wrong with leaving them on to there. And again, winter, early spring is the best time to be doing your pruning, so don't be pruning your hydrangeas back in the fall. If you're looking at most of the pink and blue flowering hydrangeas, your macrophyllus, what you want to do is definitely wait. The hydrangeas, if we have a bad winter, will die back over winter, and if all you've left was 8 inches on them and we've had a hard winter, they're going to die back right to the ground. Where if we leave them up, leave the flower heads on, if they died back 8 inches in the winter, we still have a foot or two to work with. So again, at this time, just late dormant period is the best time to do it. When looking at any of the macrophyllus, there's a few exceptions, but we'll try and keep this as simple as possible. One thing you want to be doing is removing the old flower heads. So we could just go through, and if you're not wanting to control the size, if you're happy with the size of it, we could just cut down to where we see the first bud or that underneath and get rid of some of this growth that's on here and start cleaning it up. But what I'm noticing on this hydrangea is that I have no buds growing in this area at all. The first bud that I start seeing greening and swelling up is this one down here. So if some winters you don't have much choice, you have to prune to where you see growth. Again, I can just take my thumbnail, scratch the stem, or just bend it and I know it's dead, it's very brittle. So I want to look for the first healthy bud. So these hydrangeas I like to wait till I can start seeing the green of the bud just starting to show, starting to emerge. What you wanted to do, most of the pink and blue hydrangeas bloom on new wood that comes off old shoots, which is kind of confusing. Usually plants will bloom on new wood or old wood. But if you have new shoots from your hydrangea coming from the ground, those shoots most likely, unless it's a repeat blooming one, those shoots won't produce flower buds this year. It's only when a new shoot comes off an old stem that you're going to get flower buds on most of the older varieties. There are some new varieties like the Endless Summer series, the Everlasting series and that are repeat bloomers, and they bloom both on new and old. But you could, if you follow these rules, even with those ones, you'll be good. So what we want to do then is look down each stem and see where we see the first bud coming out. Ideally, if it was budding all the way up, again, we want to count about 3 to 5 buds up that stem. Then each of those buds, because we're removing the terminal, that will become a strong shoot, then that will form a flower head for you in the summertime. So on this stem here, this is my first bud that's coming off. So I'll just prune it down to that point. So if it's a bad winter, you might not have a choice. You'll have to prune down to where you do see the growth coming. But if you were to prune it right down, I know some people that will prune in the fall, and first number no, but then they'll prune it right down, almost treat it like a perennial. But then they won't get the flowers the next season on it. So I'm just looking for going up at least 3 to 5 buds and just making a cut directly above those buds. You only have to go about 1/2 centimeter or so above. So starting to see some nice healthy growth here. A couple of these stems I'm not seeing. Get rid of this bulk. This stem here, I don't see any buds until it's right at the bottom, but I still want that old growth there. Also, by leaving this old growth, the stems will be sturdier. If you've been taking all your hydrangeas down to the ground every year, by the time that flower opens up and with the weight of the flower, those stems become very floppy. If you develop some good thick wood at the bottom, they help support those flower heads. So this stem here I have to take right down because there is no buds up higher onto it. I've got a damaged branch here that's just kind of hanging down, so I'm going to remove it completely. So once you got away that bulk, then you're still looking for any dead wood, pruning that out. That stem is completely dead there. Any crossing branches. But I still have at least 3 to 5 buds on each stem there. So I'm going to have some good flowers forming, some good growth coming. And so now, again, late dormant period is the time to be pruning your hydrangeas. So if you know your variety that you have, it's a newer variety and it is one of the Endless Summer series or another one There's one called Tough Stuff that's a nice repeat bloomer, Twist and Shout. If you know it is a repeat bloomer, even though it blooms both on new wood and old wood, I would still prune it the same way. You still want to leave some of that old growth. What happens is that the older stems that produce flowers will bloom first, and then the new growth that comes up from the base will produce blooms later in the season, and that's why it's a repeat bloomer. But as long as, whether it's repeat blooming or just a regular macrophylla, an older variety, as long as you're can leave at least 3 to 5 buds coming up the stems, then I would just prune accordingly. And don't worry too much if it's a repeat bloomer or not. The same pruning will work for both. If you do have a pink or blue hydrangea, you might know that you can alter the colors of them. But the blue hydrangeas require more acidic soil, so aluminum sulfate is a great thing to be adding in. And you'll have to add it in 3 or 4 times. So again, as soon as the shrub starts growing in the spring, you can just be buying it. We carry it in small boxes, you mix it with water, and just water around the plant and then repeat it a couple times. It's something, because we're so clay-based here, that we're very alkaline. So to keep a hydrangea nice and blue in color, it's something that you'll have to repeat every year to keep that color going. If you're just wanting to keep it as pink, then just leave it alone, and our clay soils will take care of the rest of it for you that way. But so if you're wanting to alter the color, our white hydrangeas, the old Annabelle hydrangeas with the great big snowball flowers, or PG hydrangeas that have more cone-shaped flowers, they'll always be white. The Annabelles will age to an apple green in color, and most of your PG varieties, whether it's Quickfire, Lime Lights, Little Lime, will all turn to a pinkish color as they age. So you can't alter those ones. It's only the pinks and blues that you can alter by either making the soil more acidic or more alkaline, which you could add lime if you want it even more alkaline than what it is. And that will change the color of your hydrangeas for you. Just as we're talking about pruning and you've got your plants set to go, spring is a good time to start applying any fertilizers. You don't want to be applying too late into the fall season, late summer. So spring is a great time to hit it with some fertilizer. Again, because this is a flowering plant, we want to make sure it's a fertilizer high in the middle number. Actisol is a fertilizer brand that we carry because it's all organic, slow acting but long lasting. And so you just want to make sure that the middle number, the phosphorus, is higher. Something like this bone meal transplanter one is 410-2, and so it's going to help with the blooms and also help with the root system as well. So once you get it cleaned up, the garden's ready to go. Just sprinkle some of the pellets around the base of the plant, work it into the soil a little bit, and your hydrangea is all set for the year.